Hello, friends. How are you guys doing? I'm going to give everybody just a second to kind of pop in here since we're basically like right on time, which is rare for me these days. Hello, Laura. You guys are already here and waiting. Go ahead and change your chat box settings. There's a little chat box on the bottom of the screen. If you click it, you can change the settings to attendees and panelists so that we can all see each other's comments in the chat. Because I have some folks from Adobe who are joined with me today who are the true experts here, and they're going to be in the chat answering any questions that you might have. While I'm going through this little tutorial of sorts, I get a little bit hyper focused, so I might miss those questions. So I don't want your questions to not be answered. So make sure to have your chat box clicked for all attendees and panelists so they can see you guys. Carly and Kevin, Ahad. Oh my gosh, there's a lot of you here. Hi, welcome. If you are joining from my Instagram page, I posted about this today and then a couple days ago, and a lot of you signed up, which is awesome. I'm so happy to have you here. But if you are from my Instagram, give me a shout out. Let me know in the chat because I'm just curious to see how many of my people are here. And also feel free to go follow me on Instagram at Erin Robinson. I probably should introduce myself, by the way. And if you have any questions after this that we didn't get to, I'll be happy to answer them in DMs. So I'm going to transition into introing myself. Again, my name is Erin Robinson. I am a digital creator and a YouTuber. I've been on YouTube for like 10 or 11 years at this point. And I used to work for a company and I produced and executive produced and directed a bunch of YouTube content for them. And then a couple of years ago, I transitioned into my own channels and my own content, and I do all the things for my channel, including edit, which is something that I didn't do when I worked at a company because we had editors available. So when I started my own channel, I had to jump into editing head first, and I didn't know anything. I knew nothing really about editing. My husband went to film school, so he was sort of like giving me some tips and tricks along the way, but I basically had to just Google everything and figure it all out. And what I loved about Adobe Premiere is that it didn't take me very long to figure it out. I think I taught myself how to use it in like a week. And then I started Vlogmas and vlogged and edited like 23 videos in a row. So if I can do it, you can do it. I know there are a lot of beginners here, and I have taught this class, a version of this before. And so I know a lot of you are joining back again, and we're going to cover a few more things that are a little bit more in depth of some of the things that I talked about last time. Also, at the end of this video, two things, I'm going to be doing a Q&A. So there's also a Q&A box, which is separate from the chat box. So if you're in the chat and your question doesn't get answered, save it and then post it to the Q&A chat, because I'm going to check that box at the end to answer everyone's questions. And then at the end of the video, there's going to be a survey that pops up. I would love for you to take the survey and chat with Adobe and let them know what you loved about this session and what maybe could be better for next time. It's just a super quick survey, and we'll post it at the end of the video. I think those are all of my housekeeping notes. I think you guys let me know if I missed anything. The session will be recorded, Helen, so you'll be able to access this again if I move too fast and you want to kind of rewatch a section. So got home from work. Oh my gosh, 7 p.m. Okay, well, I hope this is going to be a fun experience for you. We're going to get into the nitty gritty, but I'm going to try to make it as fun as possible, even though we are going to talk about a few technical things. It's going to be pretty easy. And I love that you have your day job and then you're coming home to figure out how to be an editor on the side. I love that. Okay. Hi. Okay. Let me see if there's anything I need to answer before I jump in. Okay, Joy, I'm so glad you're here. Let's see if I can help you get a little bit unstuck. Okay. So I'm going to share my screen here. Actually, yep, I'm going to share my screen. Zoom is not my platform of choice. So if I have some struggles, you guys, it's just because Zoom is not my normal land that I visit. Okay. So Welcome to the fancy finishing touches for your edit, you guys. This is an interesting session because I've learned a lot even since the last time I taught the basics of going from 0 to 100 on Adobe Premiere Pro. And I want to just show you guys how you can take the basics that I taught kind of in that class and then elevate them just a little bit to make it even fancier without having to know too many fancy technical skills. Okay. So let's move down. So this is what we're going to talk about today. We're going to chat through music and sound and how to use sound effects, noise, ambient sound to kind of give your video a depth, a creative kind of like life about it that maybe you don't really have when you're just editing a basic video. We're also going to talk about graphics and how to use them and where to access them in Adobe Premiere. I actually didn't know that Adobe Premiere had graphics for the longest time, and I paid someone so much money to create me a graphic that was very basic. And I think I paid someone like $300 for just like a text across the screen. And I had no idea. And then one day I just happened to click on it accidentally. And I was so mad at myself because there's so many amazing Adobe graphics for free that were way better than the one that I paid someone $300 to make. So I want to make sure you know where that is and how to use it. And then we're going to talk about filters or LUTs. I also just recently started using LUTs in my own content because I would shoot on different cameras and the footage would look different from my iPhone than on my DSLR. And I wanted to figure out a way to make them kind of match a little bit better. And so I kind of started exploring LUTs, and I'll show you guys how I do that. And then we're going to talk about overlays. I talked about overlays a little bit in the last video, but since then, I think the whole vintage VHS theme of videos has kind of popped off. So I want to show you guys how I use those types of filters for my edit. And then we're going to have a Q&A at the end. Okay, cool. So let's talk about using music and sound. Sound effects are my favorite place to play. It doesn't seem like it would be a place that you would get excited about using, but sound effects really can. It's almost like subconscious. It's almost like, you're hearing it, but you don't even know that you're hearing it. And I love that because they really can give dimension to your video. You can layer tons of different sound effects on top of each other to really make your video come alive. And I'm going to show you a quick little example of how I did this recently for a video on Instagram, where I was shooting B-roll and I had a great music track and I had VO, and they all were great. They were wonderful. But when I watched it, I was like, this feels flat to me and I don't understand why. So I just sat there for hours tweaking and playing around. I went outside and actually captured my own sound effects. When you hear sound effects, you think like, oh, I got to go into a music library and like figure out the best horn sound. I make a lot of my sound effects. Sometimes one time I opened, oh, Amazon just delivered something. This day's getting better and better for me. One time I was driving down I wasn't driving. I was in the passenger side. I opened up the passenger car door and put my camera on the ground because I wanted like a wheel and gravel sound effect that I couldn't find. So do not be afraid to make your own sound effects. They're really fun, really easy, and you don't have to pay for them. So I'm going to show you how I used my own sound effects for a video that I did recently. And I posted this on Instagram if you guys want to see the full thing, but I'm just going to show you how in this, everything that you hear, the wind, the chimes, the birds chirping, those were birds in my backyard. Everything that's audible here, I created and I just layered it into my video. And you can just see that it feels like it gives this B-roll a place in time. Okay, enough talking here. Let's show them.
The heat from the sun, the hats and beanies, the UV damage, the air pollution, the wind from a long Sunday drive. And the tangles that follow. It's shocking that it still looks this good.
You can hear at the end, I stopped the sound effects and it almost makes those like last B-roll moments where I'm like moving my hair. It almost makes that feel special, like a separate thing. So those are some of my sound effects tips and tricks. We're going to get a little bit more into that during the actual tutorial here, but let me get back into what we've got going on here. Okay. So also something I wanted to point out to you is that Adobe offers royalty-free music. There's a subscription that you can get inside of Adobe that I also recently found out about. A lot of people are asking me about, where do you get the music that you use in your videos? And you can get everything that you need for sound effects and music, royalty-free music, inside of Adobe Premiere. And I'm going to show you that in just a second as well. Okay, let's talk about LUTs for a second. LUTs are basically filters. LUT stands for lookup table, but no one calls it that. And so if you're looking for cool filters for your videos, make sure you're searching for LUTs online. Actually, Adobe also has LUTs inside of it already. But I love LUTs. I actually found LUTs when I was editing this video that I'm going to show you today. And you can see in the before and after here, you know, the before shot's great. It's a little flat. There's a lot of room for color dimension here, but when you just add a LUT, it just does kind of all the work for you. We all know what filters are on Instagram. It's basically exactly that. Okay. So overlays are, again, something else I want to touch on. The VHS vintage video effects of it all, I really have been enjoying playing with. And we're going to talk about that in a sec. So before we jump into the actual tutorial, these are some of the graphics. I just grabbed a screen grab of this. I want you to look and see how cool these graphics are. Like, all of this would cost you hundreds of dollars to pay someone to make for you. And adding graphics to your video automatically makes it look so much better. Now you can see here, some of these have the $ sign that you can pay. And usually those are a little bit more advanced and a little bit more special, but there are so many that you don't have to pay for, that are free, and they're amazing. And I use them constantly. Okay. So we're going to do the Q&A in just a moment, but I want to jump in to the tutorial here. Does anyone else have Adobe in the background? I love that. Honestly, I think edit with me if you want to try some of these. I hope I'm a good enough teacher that you can edit alongside of me. Okay, cool. Okay, is there anything I'm missing here? You're literally stuck. Okay, Joy, I'm up to your comment. Okay, cute. Okay, so I'm going to show you guys how I edited a video that I posted on my Instagram. I recently launched a vlog channel, and I wanted there to be a teaser trailer that was like really cool. And I like really kind of established who I was and why I wanted to do this vlog channel. And I edited it. And then I was like, I need to do a cut down for Instagram. So I'm going to walk you through how I cut this down to 1 minute and made it feel a little bit more elevated. Cool. So let's just I know, you guys, I'm not the most patient pointing out the fact that I have a bunch of audio tabs open. I'm kind of a disorganized creator when it comes to editing, but just trust my process. Okay. So here are all the clips. I've already pre-assembled all the clips together. I'm going to mute this for a second. This is a rough edit, so no color correction, no transitions, nothing has been done to any of this footage. This footage was just grabbed directly from my camera, and I've just cut off the dead space and the fat, trimmed the fat, so to speak, and it's basically just the clips and the music here. And I'm going to show you a before, but before I do that, I want to show you guys where you can access Adobe's audio library. So if you go to your audio tab at the top and you click, I'm sorry, I'm going to have to move you guys over just a bit because all my screens are in the way, so I can't even see it. Okay. You can see here that you can browse music. This is where your Adobe stock music subscription comes into play, because in this box, you can literally find any type of audio track that you could ever dream up. And what I like about Adobe's subscription service that I haven't really, really been able to find in some of the singular subscription services out there is that it pulls from multiple libraries. Whereas if you just had an Epidemic Sound account, which you can see here, they source Epidemic Sound, which is the popular subscription service, you start to hear the same songs over and over again, and it kind of gets boring. And then you watch other YouTubers who have the same songs that you have, and it starts to feel like a little mundane and a little bit boring. So I love that they also have partnered with Jamendo, which is another subscription service. So you basically have two libraries to pull from when it comes to music options. And you can search right here inside of Adobe. You don't even have to open up an internet browser. You can click down and decide what mood you want, what genre you want to search through. And then you can even filter it by tempo, which I personally find to be super helpful because I like to use music kind of within a certain tempo range. So I really kind of stick within like 100 to 140. So you can really, if you want something upbeat or slow, and sometimes you can even do durations. Maybe you want what they call is a sting, something that's a little bit short, like a 10-second or 15-second just clip. You can search for those. And you can search which library you choose from. So like myself, I think I know every song on Epidemic Sound by heart. So I would click the Jamendo here in order to sample the tracks from that library. And what's really cool is you can come here and click through all of these tracks. I've muted my current track because I already have a track in place, but I want to show you if, let's say I want to pick fun, upbeat pop track. When I hit play, it's going to give you, it's going to play through your video tracks to your video tracks to show you what the music would look like with your clips. So I'm just going to play it for you now. You guys hear that? Let's see if I can turn it up just a smidge right here. Okay, that one wouldn't work for sure. Let's see. There's another one here. And you can just pop through here, just sample it all. I love that it plays the track so that you can see it with the visual, which usually with other subscription services, you have to download the track and then upload it to Premiere and then drag it to your timeline. And then you watch it and you're like, this song sucks. Why did I pick this one? So you completely skip that step here. You can just listen to it right here. None of these are really doing it for me. So you can just see, it's really cool. If you want to make this a freaking action movie, you totally could. It's kind of terrifying, actually. Let's definitely not use that track. But all you have to do, let's say we wanted to make it a terrifying action movie, you could just drag it right on in, and here you go. Okay, it's really loud, so we're not going to play that out loud, but you get it. It's easy. You just drag it on in. So I already have my track in place, so I don't need to search and do all the work here, but I just thought that was such a cool option. So if you don't have a music subscription or you need to upgrade, make sure to check it out. Yeah, I know. M. Jones, I didn't know it played the song with footage either. It's just such a cool feature. So is there somewhere that clearly explains all the terms and uses? I'm definitely sure before you pay, you sign up, that there's going to be terms and conditions there that you can read through. Okay, cool. All right, so let's jump into sound effects. Let me see if I can zhuzh Premiere over just a bit. I like to organize my folders ahead of time so that it makes editing super easy for myself. I have a little sound effects folder ready to go over here. And sometimes I use a lot of the same sound effects, a lot of whooshes and crescendos and pops. And I usually have those here, but this video didn't really call for those. So I'm going to use some different sound effects. And for this first clip here, we can see this is a drone shot of Los Angeles. As much as I believe in my cinematography, I cannot lie to you and say that this is mine. Also, Adobe offers a lot of stock images and stock video. So if you don't have a drone and you need some drone footage, check them out. You can definitely buy stock photos and videos from them as well. So I plopped this here because I wanted to have this establishing shot of Los Angeles so that people knew where I was. And then I added a kind of a medium establishing shot of specifically in LA where I was. And then I had an establishing shot of the room that I was in. And just kind of like a fun, like editing tip. I didn't nail this, but the vision was there. If you can see here in this clip, there's this pole right here. And when I did this pan, I wanted to also mimic the same pan inside of the room that I was in, just because I love the movement of it all. And I wanted my audience to feel like this was going to be a teaser that didn't stop moving the entire time. And so it was just like one creative way I did that. I wish I had gotten it just a little bit more straight, but I'm not a professional editor. I didn't go to film school. So I'm just out here teaching myself these things and sharing it with you. Okay, so here, since we have this establishing shot of Los Angeles, it's great, it's beautiful, but I really wanted there to be a sense of place. If you're on the street of Los Angeles, you're going to hear cars, you're going to hear horns, you're probably going to hear sirens, let's be real. So I'm going to plop in a city ambiance track here. Let's make sure I didn't. Okay, yeah. So I'm going to plop this in and see what we've got going. It's a little loud, guys. I'm trying to navigate your audio with the real audio in Premiere. Let me just go ahead and bring that gain down a little bit. Oh yeah, that's LA for sure. So I really like that beginning piece because you hear the siren, but it comes a little bit later. It's not so abrupt. Okay, I like that a lot. So what we're going to do is we're just going to clip that right there. Okay. And then I'm going to cut it right here. Now, that's great, but I want even more. So when I go to this new shot, I want that to feel like a separate audio track because your visual, your eye goes, oh, it's a different moment in time. The audio is not going to be the same. So I want to come in here and maybe layer it with, I wonder if there's a horn in here. I'd love to like add a little beep beep. Oh, here we go. There we go. Okay, cool. There's a horn. So I'm going to change the audio, the sound effect to match this clip. Okay, they're not perfect. So what I'm going to go to is the effects tab. I'm going to go to audio transitions. I'm going to go crossfade. I'm going to click this option right here. And these transitions basically soften the beginning and the ending of these tracks so they don't sound so abrupt, right? Because I wanted to kind of feel like it's just magically moving in the background. So I'm going to add a couple of transitions here. Sorry, I'm a little bit hard to see with this little window situation I've got going on. So funny, when I'm editing, I talk to myself. I don't know if anybody else out there talks to themselves too when they edit, but now I've got people watching me, which is like cool, but also welcome to my brain. I'm sorry. Okay, cool. Let's see. I don't know why this is not dragging properly. Oh. Still a little bit loud, actually. I'm going to bring it down just a smidge. And now I'm going to, yeah, okay, great. So I could keep going, honestly, and I'm going to show you, I've already kind of edited this myself. At the end, I'm going to show you kind of like the finished track. But I think I ended up layering like 4 or 5 different layers of just street noise because I really wanted it to feel like a real place in time. Do we have any other questions? Let's see. You're also in Cleveland. It's fine. You're doing your thing. Okay. You guys are fully supportive. I love it. Okay. So you can use these transitions to help ease the track in and out so it's not so abrupt, and just layer all the sound effects. So now we're going to move on to LUTs. I'm moving really quickly here. So you guys, if you have any questions, let us know. Let's pick maybe this clip here. So if you want to change the color of your videos, obviously you can go to the color tab. You can change highlights, contrast, pretty much anything you could want, saturation, all the things here, right? But I want to make this easy on myself and I want to add in a LUT. So there are two places you can add this in. It's a little technical and a little complicated to decipher which one you should use. For our purposes here, we're going to keep it really simple. You can obviously, under this basic correction tab, there's a little input here with some LUTs already ready. But I'm going to actually use the profiles in the creative tab. You see here, there's a drop-down menu, and all of these are filters that you can use for your video. So for this one, I really wanted to use this clean Kodak B filter, and it really just like pops and brings the color to life. One of the reasons why you would use a color profile like this is, especially like I mentioned, if you have two different cameras that you're shooting on, you kind of want to make them match a little bit. Like this shot right here, very saturated, very orange. I shot it on a vintage app on my phone. And this footage is actually from my DSLR camera. So I wanted to have a little bit more, I wanted them to match a little bit more closely, even though I knew they wouldn't perfectly match. So you can go individually and apply this LUT to the clips that make sense. So this one's another one, right? I think these are all kind of in the same lighting. Did I pick the right one? Yeah, no, I did not. But you can go through individually, or there's an easier way. So let me just change that. There's an easier way to do this, which is so cool. You can go, actually, let me go ahead and make a new one while you guys are here. You can go to new, you can do adjustment layer, and make sure adjustment layer has the same dimensions of your video, and it's going to pop up over here. Now, what you can do is you can make the LUT changes to the adjustment layer and then just layer that over all of your clips, which saves you so much time, especially if all of your clips are kind of like look the same and you don't really want to go through and color change every single one. You would just drag this over here and then add your, let's go back to our clip here. And then I'm going to add my LUT to it. Let's see here. There you go. And then they're all kind of color changed, which I love. And you can tell by, I can toggle the adjustment layer on and off so you can see that it's easy. Now it does change these clips, which I don't want to have that adjustment layer on. So I'm going to just kind of like remove that off of this one. There we go. And these, I don't want the adjustment layer, so I'm just going to cut that and drag it off. Okay, so cool. So super easy, something that I honestly did not know existed until recently. So if you didn't know either, you're welcome. Now we can all have bomb color corrected videos together. Okay, so I've talked about overlays before. In the last video that I did, I used a lot of like lens flare overlays. You can Google them, you can download them, you can buy them, they're everywhere. Honestly, I've used footage that I've created myself and used it as an overlay. So there are a lot of ways you can do overlays, but I'm going to show you how I did it for this video. So I have my overlays folder here. Here are a ton of different options for the VHS vibe that I'm going for. Actually, I want to grab both of these. I don't know why that's not coming over. I'm also like not editing in my editing place. So everything is a little bit like wonky. Okay, so I'm just gonna cut this, delete all of my extra goodies. And what's cool about this is there's audio that came with this. Let's see. I don't know if you can hear it. It's super faint, so I'm actually not going to use that. So I love this VHS look. It's super popular. This one that I found actually counts up, which is kind of cool. I'm going to mute the track. It counts up, which is kind of cool or kind of annoying depending on your taste. But I'm going to, for funsies for this video, I'm going to just put it on the whole video for now, just to show you guys. And then I am going to go to my effects tab. And I'm going to click on that clip. And I'm going to go to blend mode and I'm going to make it screen. So it basically is like just a light filter. That overlay has become just kind of part of the video itself. And with this opacity here, you can make it brighter, thicker, more prominent, a little bit more faded, just depending on what you want. I'm going to keep it kind of faded for now. Actually, I think I'm going to like this better for a graphic that I'm going to use at the end. So I'm just going to clip it kind of around here, and I'll show you guys why in a second. But it's super easy to do. I do this all the time with so much, even like I do a lot of food videos and I use a lot of lens flare clips over the food to make it look cooler and more interesting. There are also some of these grain filters. These are like really cool lens burns here. Let's, come on. Like this right here. This is really cool. So what I'm going to do basically, I'm just going to drag this over just to show you guys how you can use like a lens flare as well. I did this last time. Obviously, this is just a video clip that I randomly pulled from somewhere. And then I'm going to screen it and then just bring it way down because I just want it to kind of like sort of exist. The impact is in the subtlety. That's one of the things I've learned while editing is you don't really need to have anything that just is so loud and crazy. You really can just make an impact by having something super subtle going on. So let's see here. Adobe is auto-saving currently. Perfect. Okay. So I'm going to increase it just a little bit so you can see the flare of it all. It's so subtle. You can almost barely see it, right? Let's move this clip down. Let's see if we can see it a little bit better. It doesn't need it in my opinion, but it's there if I want to play around. Okay, let me know if you have any questions. Where do you find the overlays? The ones that I'm using here, I have either just sourced from random places online. Some of the VHS ones, fun fact, I've ripped from my home videos that I digitized. My dad was like notorious for filming over family videos, like with basketball games and stuff from the 90s. And so there are all these like glitches and things that I've been able to kind of like pull from and use. So thanks, Dad, for hooking me up in the future, even though you filmed over like, my preschool graduation, it's totally fine. But I use a lot of my own VHS overlays. Yeah, exactly, Julia. Okay, let's see. I'm just trying to see if there are any questions that I've missed. So if someone asks where I opened these from, I just imported them into my project tab. If you hit Command I, it'll offer you up all of your files that you can click and import your project or your files into your project. Okay, so we've done sound effects, we've done LUTs, we've done overlays, and then I want to show you guys two more things. Let's go to the graphics tab here. I wanted to really show you guys what there is there's so much here. If you want to get creative and kind of source some new stuff, you go to your Adobe Stock tab here. You can see there are so many options here. I mean, you literally could type in like, let's say like school, and they're going to be graphics that pop up that you can use or you can buy to use. If you want to search particularly free options, if you aren't doing anything that's super advanced, you can just click on the free option. And again, the free options are even better than the $300 option that I paid for. So thank you, Adobe, for hooking me up. It took me too long, but it's fine. I'm here now. It's fine. So these are all the free ones, and there's so many amazing ones to choose from. If you like one and you drag it into, I'll pick this one for kicks. You drag it into your project here. It automatically adds it to your templates page. So you can always go back to it later without having to search for it in the Adobe Stock tab. You can see I've used a lot of graphics, but let's see what I want to play with here. Like, look how good this graphic is. It's just, and you can customize it obviously to like say whatever you want, right? So you can do, and it moves. It's just like so easy, so great. Okay, I'm going on a tangent. Let's get back to the video at hand. So I want to search for the neon. Let's see if I can find it. I didn't use this in my original video, but just to show you guys for fun, I just added this little like establishing place graphic. I probably wouldn't use this in my final one, but like, look how awesome that is, right? Especially if you're doing like a trailer for like a conference or something and you wanted it to look cool, you just throw it in there. And I'm gonna just delete that and show you guys another one that I'm definitely gonna use for this project. Let's just scoot you over. Look for this one. So at the end of the video, I wanted there to be a call to action, right? So it was a teaser for my vlog, and I wanted people to know what the heck they were looking at and why they were looking at it. So I wanted to use this really cool, place this here, this really cool load. It doesn't look, it's very simple, but you can fully customize it to do and say kind of whatever you want. So for instance, I love this, but I want it to be pink. You know, why not? You can make it pink. I liked the loading content text, but I wanted to add more. So I'm in the graphics tab now. I'm just going to click on here. I'm in the text feature, and I'm going to say link in bio, right? So I want people to be like, what is this, right? So I'm going to actually change that font to, I don't know. Let's go up to my most used ones up here. Actually, let's just keep it there for funsies for now. It's cool. I like it. Let's see. One thing that I also like to use when I edit is black space. I do think that having nothing in your content sometimes says a lot, especially if you really want your viewer to think about something or to have a pause and like in anticipation of what's coming next. I like to use a lot of just black screen when I'm editing for certain types of videos, and I wanted to do that here. So once the track is over, I wanted people to be like, wait, is there more? Is it over? Like, what just happened? So, but I also have added this VHS play button a little bit before the graphic, because I don't want all of the things to come together at once. I want you to kind of feel like there was a smooth transition. So I'm just kind of like putting that play button here just to kind of warm you up to the end card, let's call it. So super fun, super easy, free. Like, why are we not doing this on every single video, right? Okay. Now, one thing that I think this is missing are some fun transitions. So there are a couple of ways you can do transitions. There are some that are already in Adobe that you can use, and I use a lot. There are some that you can purchase and upload into the Adobe software itself. I did that here. Let me show you guys. So under video transitions, there's this folder here, and I purchased these and imported them into the software. So I use these all the time. I really like this chaos one for this video because we're doing kind of like a neon-y, like kind of glitchy vibe. So I'm just going to drag this here, and you can see, I'm just going to play it so you can kind of see that it's kind of glitchy, right? So I'm just going to make it a little bit shorter because we don't need all of that. And when it renders, when we play it all the way through, you'll see it just adds just a little bit of like extra TLC to that clip. And then another way you can get transitions is you can upload them into your project files over here. I purchased these. These are like really cool lens flares. And what's cool about these is they come with their own sound effects. There are different versions of this. So if you want a longer one or a shorter one, they're super cool and super interesting. And then you just drag them over whatever clip that you've got going on. I'm going to delete that temporary clip there. And this is not its final home, but let's just see how it looks here. Super fast, but you can see it was kind of like a burn, like a film burn, which is what it's called exactly. So I'm going to add this though to this transition right here. I'm going to drag the audio with it. Let's see what the audio sounds like. Can we hear it? Oh. Actually, let's see. Someone wants me to zoom in on the timeline. Yeah, I totally can. So it already has that film sound, which I love. So I'm just going to bring it down just a hair. By the way, if you want to turn your audio down, just hit G. It stands for gain. Just hit G, and then you can adjust it right here. Super fast, super easy. But I think I like it there. Right? Cool. Okay, I'm into that. And you could just go ham and put transitions everywhere. I think for the purposes of this video, there's a lot going on already, so I don't need a ton of them, but there's one there. So those are two places you can add transitions. And also they're just transitions all over the place in here. If you want to play with some Adobe transitions, they're all here. Some of them are really handy actually. So pretty much everything you need is already inside of Adobe, which is awesome. Okay, so we've added some transitions, we've added overlays, we've added graphics, we've customized our graphics. Let's see if there's anything else. I think like we might be done. Now, I definitely went in and tweaked each individual clip a little bit more for color. I do want to show you one more. I do want to add one more sound effect while we're here. This one's called the film camera. Oh, there's like a weird beep, but we can cut that out. So I'm going to add this to my timeline. Let's just add it right here. And look, I want to cut it right before the beep happens. So I'm just going to delete that. So I gotta lock that layer. Okay. Let me just select this layer. How about it? Unselect these layers. Okay. And just paste that all the way through. And I want it to continue to play in this end card. I'm just pasting this sound effect all the way through. And I'm just gonna copy, paste it again, and I'm just gonna move it all kind of around, zhuzh it around. It gets messy before it gets not messy. Just bear with me here. kind of trim this so that they all kind of match up. Okay, I'm just gonna like turn the audio down a little bit. Let's see. Now, normally, because I clipped these two audio pieces together and they don't technically match, I would go into, again, in my audio transitions and grab this transition here and like slide it on here to kind of make it sound less like choppy. Well, you have to be careful because that will bleed in. Almost. Let me just get it a little bit tighter here. There we go. It sounds more smooth, but for the kind of the video feel, I like it to have like that choppiness. Like it almost feels like vintagey and like, oh, maybe the film, something's wrong with the film or something. So I'm just going to leave it as is. Let's see. I love a lot of you are in here just like helping each other out. Oh, I hope I answered that question about volume without using gain. I do use gain. I just use the shortcut key to make it fast. So cool. Okay, I'm glad you guys are getting answers in the chat. I'm so glad. Hi from Egypt. What a land far away from here. Nada, I hope I get to meet you one day. How do I export for Instagram? That's a great question, actually. What you would go, so Instagram has different dimensions. So I have standard, like kind of, these are like YouTube dimensions on this video. It's kind of what you shoot in, but Instagram has different dimensions. So what you would do is you would go to sequence settings, and obviously you can do a 4:5 ratio on Instagram video, or you can do a square. It just depends on like what you want. You can still upload this 1080 by 1920 to Instagram, but if you wanted to really make it a box, you just go to the frame size, add 1080 by 1080, and it'll say, oh, once you do this, you can't turn back, but you can always turn back. So I just say, okay. And you can see it's a square. I'm going to get out of that shot because that seems weird, but you can see here, it's already edited to a square. Now, what I would do is if I was actually going to export it as a square, I would go through and like position each clip to make sure what I wanted in the frame was actually in the frame. But it's super easy to do. I do it all the time. I'll take a YouTube video that I shot in 1080 by 1920, and then I'll cut it down for TikTok, and I'll upload it to TikTok, which are completely like the flipped dimensions. So that's how I do it. There might be better ways and other ways to do it, but I'm gonna just click make it here. Okay. All right, so we've made all these changes to this video. And yes, you can also use audio reframe as well. Oh, auto reframe. That's what I meant to say, in order to resize for different platforms and different dimensions. Okay, so now that we've kind of like done a few finishing touches, I wanted to show you guys what it looked like as a whole. So let's just, I'm gonna delete all of this here, delete all of our hard work. You know what? I'm just going to show you guys the finished product. That's probably what you guys came for anyway. So let's just, yeah. So this is my finished product. Before I show it to you full screen, you can see I kept all of the same audio, the layers of the sound effects. We've got our graphics here. We've got our overlay. We've got our transitions. And this is kind of what my baby looked like before I exported it and uploaded it. So I'm going to play this and go full screen. Let's try again. Let's try it again. Okay. Here. No, I keep clicking out. Okay, here we go. Well, I muted the track. You know, it's the small things sometimes that really just mess you up. Okay, let's try one more time. We're going to do it this time. I know it. Cool. Okay, so that is the final video after everything was kind of edited together, tweaked. Again, these aren't like night and day differences. These are really small, subtle polishing, finishing touches, things that you can do just to make your video feel just a little bit more premium. Obviously, it does help to have good footage, right? I think, making sure your lighting is good and your sound is good and all those kind of fundamental content creation things are checked off your list. But once you plug them into Premiere, you really do have a lot of options to make them feel like something special is going on here. And you don't have to really know how to edit a feature length movie in order to get there. So I hope those were helpful. Again, if you have any questions, go to the Q&A box right now, drop them in. I am going to be answering some of those here at the end. And hopefully I can answer all of them before our session is up. Let's see here. So I am going to get out of Premiere and pop back into Zoom. I need to make you guys. Here we go. Wait just a second. Stop sharing my screen. There we go. I know how to use Premiere, but Zoom really is the big challenge for me. Okay, I'm headed over to the Q&A box right now to answer some of your questions. So, how does Adobe differ from iMovie or another video maker? I feel like your editing software is really dependent on who you are as an editor. The reason why I love Adobe over other editing softwares is because I already use so many of Adobe's other products. So Photoshop, Lightroom. And for me, it just made sense because they all kind of operate similarly. The buttons and the keys and the drop down menus, it all is kind of organized in a similar way. So for me, it just made sense because I already loved Photoshop and Lightroom. So Premiere Pro was like, so it was like such a dumb moment for me. But I also work with some editors who help me on certain projects when I get busy. And I love the idea of us sharing the same software so I can kind of speak the same language. So all my editors that I use usually use Premiere. So it just was the right fit for me personally. Okay. Let's see. People don't have that key. Oh, interesting. Okay, yes. So Joy, so some shortcut recommendations. I touched on this in my last class with Adobe. So I really only started knowing, I think 3 or 4 keys, literally keys. They're not like a bunch of commands. It's just a few keys. So the C key, you hit C, it allows you to cut a track, an audio track or a video track wherever you want it. And then you can drag it from there. V is basically bringing you back to your cursor. So you go from cutting and you want to go back to your cursor, you just hit V. So those two are really almost all you need. For me, I did use Command I to import your footage into your project. And then I just talked about gain, which is audio, which is the volume of your track. And I just hit G for that. And you go negative, 10 if you want to bring the audio down, or you go pause, or you just type in 10 if you want the audio to go up. And you can play around with it there. So those were kind of like the only 4 shortcuts that I started with. I know there are a million more that are super helpful, but if you really just need the basics to get started, and you have a video of your dog that you want to send to your mom and you want to play around in Premiere, and just start with those. Those are super easy places to start. Do I use After Effects? I personally don't use After Effects yet, but I really want to, because After Effects allow you to really get in and customize graphics and do things that are beyond what you could do inside of Premiere. And After Effects is like a whole different world. So I haven't dived in, but I want to. Please let us know about your audio. It sounds really good. I'm assuming you're talking about my audio on my YouTube videos, generally speaking, because right now I'm just on my computer, but I use some lavalier mics for my audio. And I also have a shotgun mic that I use. If you would like me to tell you guys which one I actually use, I can figure it out and send you a link on Instagram. So message me over there. But I like to use a lav just because I think audio, again, is the most important part of content creation. And if your audio stinks, then no one's going to watch your video, even if it looks beautiful and you did everything that I taught you today, but your audio sounds cruddy. No one's going to watch it. So make sure your audio is good. If you're going to invest in anything, I would invest in audio over lighting equipment or even expensive camera gear or lenses, because camera gear and lighting, you could kind of makeshift yourself, but audio, if it sounds bad, no one's going to watch. So it's very important. What are the specs for an Instagram video when you start the project? So there's a link, DM me on Instagram. I will send you a link to an image that has the breakdown of all of the dimensions for all of the videos. If you're doing it on Twitter or Facebook or Instagram, of course, Instagram has like multiple, like 3 different video dimensions you can use. So message me if we don't have a link here. Oh, okay. Sean's in the comments adding Premiere Pro shortcuts. So beyond the 4 that I authentically had, he has a whole other list of shortcuts for you to use. So check that out. But yes, message me. I'll send you a link to all of the dimensions. They're very complicated. So let me know. Okay. Will these work for a school project? Like if I wanted to add something to my video to make it stand, of course. Premiere is so easy to use, and I use it for all kinds of things. I had a friend who was trying to put together a photo slideshow for a memorial service. And she was like, I was up all night, like putting all of these photos together and trying to figure out how to edit this video. And I was like, you should have just called me. I could have just thrown them in Premiere and done it in literally 10 minutes. So I think Premiere is great because yes, you can edit, a movie on it, but you can also just edit a slideshow. It's very, very easy to use. I struggle to find the right sound effects for projects, short 1-second movements. Yes, epidemic sound is hard sometimes to navigate. Is there a place? Okay, Mary Jane, I talked about this earlier, but please make your own sound effects. I know it sounds really weird, and trust me, I look really weird making them sometimes, but like that's a pop. And sometimes I get desperate and I'm like, I need this shh sound, or I need like a doorbell ringing, or like silverware on a plate. I actually had my in-laws here for the holidays, and I was filming a branded video, and I needed an audience cheering. And I felt like the audience cheers that I heard online were very much like I was in a stadium. So I was like, can you guys just stand in that room and I'm just going to record you guys cheering? I would really absolutely recommend just making your own. It's so much easier, and you can make sure you get exactly what you're looking for. Let's see. Will the video end with the link in bio, or will you say anything else? Oh, there's going to be a link here, I think, in the chat with a link to the survey. Is that what you're asking for about the survey? There is a survey coming. Make sure you check it out. Let us know how you felt about this session and if it was helpful at all to you. When I'm recording, do I already think of the transitions? Sometimes I do. I just shot a video yesterday where I did a lot of physical transitions, like kind of a TikTok style. So I knew in my head what those transitions would be. But for this video, I didn't. And I had to play around with transitions for probably an hour or two to find the ones that I really wanted to use. Sydney, is there an easy way to align graphics to the center of the frame? It really depends on the graphic and how detailed and how many layers there are to it. But if you click on the graphic specs and which part of the graphic that you want to change or move around, there are little dials there that you can move up or down and move it to exactly where you want. And a lot of the graphics, you can just move the entire graphic itself using the little dials on the side. Play around with it. It's hard to describe without actually seeing it, but the options are there to move them around. How long did it take me to learn the basics? It took me 2 weeks, a week, maybe, to learn the basics. And then to get good at it, I really think it took a couple of months. But when I say good at it, I mean, do all the things that I wanted to do. I think I was still good at it like a week later, which says a lot about how easy Premiere is to use. How many do you typically do? 16 by 9, 9 by 16, and 1 by 1. It depends. It just depends on the footage. So sometimes I shoot footage and I don't know where I'm going to put it, which sounds weird, but I like to shoot 4 by 5 if I'm shooting Instagram, if I had the choice, just because it gives me a little bit more space. Squares to me are a little harder to compose well. So if I'm on Instagram, I usually like to frame it 4 by 5. What's been my favorite video that I've made? I don't know. I think this trailer might have been my favorite one because I got to leave my house and I got to dress up and it was really fun and the space was really cool. I also made a tie-dye video last year I was going through a really hard personal time and I needed to just do something to get my mind off of it. And so I spent like 2 weeks on a stupid tie-dye video and I was really proud of it and it didn't really perform. I mean, it performed fine, but it was just kind of like a fun little creative project. And sometimes you have to have those. Do I have any time-saving tips for prepping files? Yes. So when it all starts with when you're shooting. Don't shoot more than what you need. And I used to be so bad at this when I used to hand all this footage to an editor and say, make something good. Good luck. I shot a lot of stuff. And anytime I'd say, oh, I have like 50 gigs of footage, they'd be like, but if you are more strategic and organized with how you shoot, don't, start rolling, talk to somebody across the street. Oh, forgot to fix my hair. And you're rolling this whole time. You are wasting space, obviously, but it's also really hard to filter through that footage. And so I like to cut during clips that I know are sections, right? So if I'm like, this section, I'm going to talk about my recipe. I know I'm going to make that one entire clip. So when I drag it into Premiere, it's already pretty much ready already, if that makes sense. What DSLR camera do you use and lens? I use a Canon 80D predominantly. I have a Panasonic and a vlog camera and I use my phone a lot, but I predominantly use the Canon 80D with a Sigma Art lens. And I want to say it's the 18 millimeter by 35, if I'm not mistaken. It's a little expensive, but that lens is my favorite lens. Let's see if there are any last, I know we're running over a few minutes, but let's see if there are any last ones that I can help answer for the group. Do I record sound effects on my phone? Sometimes. Yep. But I try to use the camera and audio setup that I use if I'm in this space already, just so it kind of matches with room tone. Okay. Peyton, I'm going to answer yours last. As a video creator for over 10 years, what's something that gets you excited about an edit? What's something you're improving on now? What gets me excited about an edit is when I know that the footage is organized. There's nothing worse than sitting down to edit and you're like, oh my gosh, I shot way too much stuff and now I have to like make something out of this. My favorite videos are the videos where I go into a shoot knowing exactly what I'm going to shoot, how I'm going to shoot it. I have a beat sheet laid out. I know exactly how long I'm going to do 30 seconds of B-roll of this or 30 seconds of B-roll of that. The more organized I am in a shoot, the more excited I am to edit it, because what happens is I can edit the base video way more quickly than if it wasn't organized. But with that gives me more time to play around and make edits fancier, because sometimes if I spend all my time just timeline organizing footage, then I don't really have time to make it a little more elevated. So for me, that's my ideal editing situation. But what I'm improving on now, I'm really improving really more on my shooting. I'm trying to make sure my lighting and white balance and all of that are all set in the camera well, so that when I put it in Premiere, I don't have to do a lot of color balancing and, filters and all of that, that it's already kind of exactly where I wanted it, because again, that saves me time. But color editing is something that is an art, and colorists make a lot of money, and I understand why, because it really is challenging. So I'm always working on trying to get my coloring better. It's not my strong suit. So okay, guys, our survey is in the chat right now. Go click it. Let us know what you thought of this. I hope this was super helpful. My brain, there's so much information in here, and I hope I was able to relay all of it, or at least some of it that was helpful to you guys. I love using Premiere. I use it all the time. I'm actually going to go edit right after this. I have another video I have to edit. So thank you guys for hanging out with me. If you have, again, questions about anything, go follow me at Erin Robinson, ErinRobinson on Instagram. I'm always in my DMs. I'm happy to answer any questions that you guys have there. Thanks, Jessica and Casey. I just am so grateful all of you guys showed up. It means so much to me. Thanks, Dana and Carly and Sam. All right. Good luck editing out there. Let me know if you have questions. And that's it, you guys. We'll see you here for the next one.